Michael Snyder is our resident film critic, and tonight he tells us which movies to see and which ones to miss. They are Dumb and Dumber 2, Foxcatcher, Beyond the Lights, Rosewater, and Merchants of Doubt. Dumb and Dumber 2. How can that not be hysterical?
Well, how about that the Farrelly brothers, Bobby and Peter, have run out of funny? Is that possible? They are, of course, the writing, producing, directing team that has given us things like There's Something About Mary and Kingpin and, of course, Dumb and Dumber, which was their first major super hit, I think, that kind of gave them the cachet to do all the other gross out, vulgar, wild, off-the-wall, slapstick-driven, lowbrow comedies that have made them what they are today, which is spent. I mean, I thought Jim Carrey and Jeff Daniels were funny in Dumb and Dumber, what was it, 2 decades ago, before a lot of this stuff had been done and doner. And now they're back, and they play the same characters, best buddies Lloyd and Harry, a couple of idiots, and it's an idiot buddy picture, and there are a few amusing moments, but it's like the ground has been plowed so many times that it fails to bear fruit. What happens is that the guys reunite, and sadly enough, Jeff Daniels' character, which I think is Harry, I'm not sure, they're both so dumb that I don't remember their names. He needs a kidney transplant. And oh my God, a tryst with a young version of Kathleen Turner spawned a child. And oh my God, if it's his child, he can get the kidney he needs. So we get a lot of traipsing around, a road trip to find the kid. And I have to say that Kathleen Turner, chipmunk cheeks and stocky nature and all, is a good sport because they actually make fun of her looks. Her faded looks.
Really?
And she doesn't seem to give a damn. Laurie Holden, who was one of my favorite characters on The Walking Dead, plays a kind of a Black Widow type who's trying to kill her wealthy husband. Who the two of them have adopted this child because Kathleen Turner gave the kid up. Didn't have a father, and she was frankly a whore in her youth. And so we go in search of the kid. And I will say Rob Riggle is okay as her henchman. And, you know, there are moments, but ultimately not funny enough. I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry.
So am I. Foxcatcher.
Foxcatcher, one of the best films I've seen in the past 6 months. And I would suggest to you Major League Oscar bait, a true crime drama with psychological undertones. Directed by the guy who directed Moneyball, Bennett Miller, and it's all about the real-life story of Olympic gold medal winning wrestler Mark Schultz, who wants to kind of surpass his brother, Dave, and he wants to find money and success, and he thinks he's going to do it with the stewardship of the wacky multimillionaire John DuPont, who wants to have him move to his Valley Forge area compound and train for the 1988 Olympics. And apparently DuPont has some serious mother issues. DuPont has some serious kind of yearnings. DuPont has major problems, ego and otherwise. And the desperation of the character of Mark Schultz seems to play into his hands.
This is Steve Carell playing DuPont.
Wow, Steve Carell is DuPont. He's fantastic. It's like you've never seen him before. Channing Tatum, who I make fun of, is, you know, not necessarily the most wooden actor out there, but not a great actor. He is fantastic as Mark Schultz, and as Schultz's brother, Mark Ruffalo, delivers as he always delivers. He is great in this thing. It's heartbreaking. It's upsetting. Again, Bennett Miller handles it beautifully. It's written by Dan Futterman and Max Fry. It's a story you may not know or recall, and it is a creep show. You also get Sienna Miller in a supporting role. Vanessa Redgrave plays the creepy mom, the DuPont matriarch. Boy, oh boy, Foxcatcher is worth catching for sure.
Beyond the Lights.
Well, Beyond the Lights it's kind of a musical drama romance wherein a young, half-black, half-white girl from London, from Brixton, and her mom, who is, by the way, played by Minnie Driver, she's the white half of the parents, is going to hopefully hit success as a singer. Mom's pushing her. She eventually ends up at the pinnacle by doing vocals on a famous rapper's songs. You see them at the BET Awards, you see them at the Grammys or wherever the hell. And her career is going great, but she's unhappy. And she's so unhappy that she's going to do something very, very radical and ruin her big break, which is her first solo album, which is going to come out in a couple weeks. Only through the efforts of a Los Angeles policeman who has political aspirations does she find herself back on the straight and narrow. And they fall in love. Beyond the Lights is actually, of its type, not terrible. And how shall I put this if I want to be delicate about it? You know what it was like? I'll tell you, it's if you could imagine a movie that was produced by Oprah Winfrey, Tyler Perry, Beyonce, Lee Daniels, and Kevin Costner, and called The Bodyguard 2 Electric Boogaloo. That's what Beyond the Lights is. And in fact, let's change the title a minute. The star is so wonderful and so much one of my Oscar favorites for her performance in Belle, the British actress Gugu Mbatha-Raw. She is like superb in this. And who knew she could handle a pop song? She sings her own vocals in this thing, and I'm impressed with her. And it should find an audience. But
she's like, she's Lady Gugu. She should.
Thank you very much.
Sing she should sing with the Goo Goo Dolls.
Bodyguard 2, Electric Boogaloo. Her support is, is pretty solid, but the story is, Danny Glover's in this thing. Nate Parker plays the cop. It could have been so much better, I think, but she's wonderful. I hope she gets attention for Belle, her period drama earlier in the year. That's a performance worth cherishing.
Rosewater.
Well, Rosewater is also based on a true story, and it's pretty straight up and pretty solid. It's all about the memoir, Then They Came for Me, a family story of love, captivity, and survival by Maziar Bahari, who is a journalist from essentially he's got Canadian citizenship, but he was born in Tehran, and he goes to Iran to interview Mir Hossein Mousavi, who was kind of challenging Ahmadinejad in June 2009 and ends up being thrown in the clink. This thing has been written by and directed by Jon Stewart, the host of The Daily Show, the comedian, the satirist, and it's actually very earnest and full of heart. And great performances. The Mexican actor Gael Garcia Bernal plays Maziar Bahari. Shure Agdashlu plays his mom. There's all kinds of actors and actresses whose names I don't know, who are from maybe from the Middle East. I don't know, but they all kind of do what they have to do. And it's a creepy inside the prison story of a man who is illegally and unlawfully imprisoned, a journalist whose life is at risk because he decided to tell a true story and he got caught up in the politics of the event. Nicely done by Jon Stewart, particularly a first effort. Wow,
Merchants of Doubt.
Well, this is also adapted and maybe inspired by a book, and it's all about spin doctors, and spin doctors in particular who help people choose to do what's bad for them. And it starts off with a sleight of hand magician at the Magic Castle talking about, basically how you fool people close up with magic. And it leads into various strains, including explanations of how the cigarette companies covered up how the cigarettes are bad for you.
This is a documentary.
It is a documentary, and it's all about the spin doctors, the pundits who say they're experts and really aren't. And I have to tell you, they talk a little bit about the what's it called, the non-flammable stuff that's filled with toxicity. That's supposed, what do they call it? The flame retardant stuff. Flame retardant. Well, the flame retardant. Well, no, the materials that are flame retardant, like for blankets and such, asbestos. Of course, asbestos, but also
we don't like the word retardant. We say flame challenged.
Retardant.
Flame challenged.
Well, sure, flame challenged. And then they get to the major point of this movie, which is the climate change deniers and the lobbies and the people responsible. And you have never seen a bigger bunch of liars, deceivers, and weasels. At one point during Merchants of Doubt, I actually wanted to get up, jump into the screen, and punch one of these climate change deniers for profit in the face. I've never felt that angry at a movie before. Well, maybe not recently. And I will say that I enjoyed it. It's not a great film, and maybe we could have used a little more about how the cigarette and tobacco industry had to toe the line, had to kind of come forth with some measure of truth, and maybe a few other instances where American spin doctoring fleeced the American public. Let's put it that way. But I will say that the fact that these guys go out there willfully knowing that there are toxic chemicals, bad pharmaceuticals, and genuine climate change, and attempt for pay to tell people otherwise and convince them otherwise, it doesn't say anything nice about the human condition, nor does it say anything nice about the gullibility of the masses. I feel sorry, I feel sad, and I felt angry after watching Merchants of Doubt. If that's what they wanted, all righty then. Directed by Robert Kenner. Great, no, but worth seeing.
Great. Michael Snyder, thank you.
You're welcome.